sprinkles, Santa Claus's special elf. Because everything is special with sprinkles. Santa Claus knows you're special too, and he has something to say to you. So listen close as Santa Claus shares holiday cheer with you. You can leave a special message for Santa Claus and get on the nice list at www.santaclaussays.net. Now here is the big man himself, Santa Claus!
Ho, 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 Merry Christmas! We're getting closer and closer to Christmas Day, and I'm so excited. I can hardly stand it. How about you? Are you getting more and more excited for Christmas? Santa Claus says, you better be good for goodness sakes and be on my nice list for before Christmas Eve comes. And you are going to have milk and cookies for Santa Claus, and it's going to be a wonderful, wonderful day. Santa Claus says, be good for goodness sakes. And we have three things we like to do here at Santa Claus Says.net. And that is to spread Christmas cheer, which we do with Sprinkles, our good friend, our elf buddy, and also some silly jokes for Christmas. We also tell a wonderful Christmas story. We've been telling the story about the elf who found Christmas. And then we also have letters to Santa. So that's what we do here at Santa Claus Says, and we have a lot of fun doing it. You can always go to SantaClausSays.net, and that is where you can find everything about me. SantaClausSays.net, you can send me a voicemail or an email or a text, and you can reach out to me, and I will respond to you. That's what we do here at SantaClausSays.net. Well, there's our Glockenspiel, boys and girls, which means it is now time for Santa Claus's jokes for today. What is Santa Claus's favorite track and field event? North Pole vaulting. One more. Where does Santa Claus stay when Santa Claus goes on vacation with Mrs. Claus? At the hotel. How wonderful is that? We have fun here at the North Pole. While me and all the elves sprinkle and all the other elves, and we like to tell wonderful stories as well about them. And that is the Glockenspiel, boys and girls, which means indeed it is time for our story. We've been telling the story here about the elf who found Christmas. And so let's continue that story. I want to remind you that you can find back episodes of the story, all the stories we do at Santa Claus Says, at youtube.com/Santa Claus Says, and at our podcast, which is at SantaClausSays.net is our website. It's also on Spotify and on Apple Podcast. But let's continue our story, and we'll have more episodes coming up of our story as well, about the elf Merrythought and the toys. Merrythought struggled up the path through the deep snow and peeped in the window. And as we know, he had expected to see a Christmas tree laden with balls and chains and ornaments of every kind of hue. He thought he might see stockings in a row. He was sure he would see bunches of holly and sprays of mistletoe. But the room in which he looked there was not a sign of Christmas anywhere. It was a bare little room, and in a bed in one corner, and an old cook stove not quite filled one side of the wall. And in the room were 7 children, all wide awake as could be, as if it were not Christmas Eve, when every little boy and girl goes to sleep the moment his or her bedtime comes. The 7 children were in their nightgowns, all but one, the oldest, a girl, and they had huddled around their shoulders bits of shawls and blankets to keep them warm. But in spite of this and the fire in the stove, their noses were red with cold, and they blew upon their fingers every now and then. They were watching the stove and oven, and all 7 were sniffing the air. At first, one and the other would call out, I smell them, I do, I know I do. And at this, they would become so excited that they would jump up and down and lose their blankets and bits of shawls. Then the biggest girl would have to go around with them and wrap them up again. All this Merrythought could hear and see quite plainly, for his nose was pressed against the window pane. They must have a Christmas turkey in the oven, thought he, but what a strange time to cook it. And where are the toys and their tree and their father and their mother too? Mary thought, looked and listened with all his might. I must know what is in that oven, thought he again. It doesn't smell like turkey to me. Here, Mary thought, sniffed vigorously at the windowsill. He was becoming almost as excited as the children themselves. I will know their names soon, he said, smiling to see the 7 children, and clap their hands and jump about. The eldest girl is named Belinda, for the other children were always calling out, oh, Belinda, wrap me up. Oh, Belinda, do sniff over here. She seems to take care of them. I wonder where their mother is. Mary thought rubbed the steam of his breath on the window and peered in again. The littlest boy with freckles is called Tom. The one with curls and her thumb in her mouth is Matilda. And the baby is Polly. I know. I think these 2 boys holding hands and giggling are Danny and Bill. And the one with the pigtails is named Anne Mary, for her 2 grandmothers, I suppose. I wonder when they will open their door and take out whatever's inside. The children were wondering this too. Oh, Belinda, do look in the oven. Oh, Belinda, do see that they are not done. Oh, Belinda, we can't wait a minute longer. Belinda laughed at them and shook her head. Stand back, she said, and I will look in the oven. But they couldn't stand back. No, they didn't. They crowded around and peeked and sniffed as Belinda gently opened the oven door. And when they said, they are done, they clapped their hands and shouted and pranced about the room. What can it be? Asked Mary thought, clinging to the windowsill, his eyes round his plates. It must be something very rich and fine. But what do you think Belinda took from the oven and carefully set upon the table in a row? 7 little pies, 7 little saucer pies, and very little saucers too. That's where we're going to leave the story at there, boys and girls, for right now. We'll come back to it again tomorrow, and we're going to continue to tell the story about the elf who found Christmas. It's an interesting story, isn't it? You're going to want to hear more, and you can always go back to hear the rest of the story and earlier episodes of Santa Claus Says. Well, there's our glockenspiel, boys and girls, which means it's time for Santa's letter of the day. And Dasha writes to Santa Claus, hello, I would like to be friends with you and be friends at the North Pole, and I would like to be a princess. Well, Dasha, I think it's wonderful that you want to be a princess, and I think it's wonderful that you would like to visit me at the North Pole and be friends. I want to be friends with you too, and I am friends with you and all the children of the world. And it's important that we have that good wish for Christmas to be friends and be friendly to our family and to our schoolmates and to the people in our neighborhoods. Be friendly is a wonderful thing to ask for. And I thank you, Dasha, for your letter. I want all of you to know that you can always write me or let me know. Give me a message by going to SantaClausSays.net. And that is where you can send me a message by email or by text message or even a voice message. And I will get those as well. And we'll have a good time together as we get ready for Christmas, which is coming before you know it. Well, boys and girls, that is the glockenspiel, which means it's almost time to end this episode of Santa Claus Says. I did want you to know that we have 2 special programs coming up before you know it. On Christmas Eve, December 24th at 8:30 p.m., when we do our live show here on YouTube, we will have The Night Before Christmas. We read the story. You know the story, the night before Christmas, and all through the house. Not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. We tell that story, and it's a wonderful story, and we want you to join us for that. Then on Christmas Day, December 25th, we will have a special reading of the most important Christmas story of all from the Bible, the story of the birth of Jesus. That's the first Christmas, and that is so, so important. You can always join us here. It's on youtube.com/Santa Claus Says, and the podcast is at SantaClausSays.net and on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. That's how you can find us. Well, boys and girls, that means it's about time for us to say goodbye here at Santa Claus Says. And we want you to know we do 3 things here at Santa Claus Says. We spread Christmas cheer, we offer you a Christmas story, and then we also read letters to Santa. We love to do all of those things to help you to have a wonderful and beautiful Merry Christmas. And remember that Santa Claus says, be good for goodness sakes. Ho, 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 ho.
You're special to Santa Claus, just like Sprinkles. Get on Santa's nice list at SantaClausSays.net and watch Santa Claus Says live on YouTube. Tell him Sprinkles sent you.